To submit a piece of evidence, from the candidate dashboard, click into the task list, either from the main page, from the options on the top right of the screen, or from the task list drop-down on the left. Once the task list opens, find the task that you want to submit evidence against and click directly into it. Clicking into the task, the first thing you're presented with is the task overview. The wording of this overview mirrors the wording that was in the training plan. Scrolling down the screen, you can see the criteria section. This shows the SOPs that have been pre-mapped to this particular assessment. Candidates can't change the mapping of SOPs to assessments, but their training officers can. The next section of the screen is the evidence submission area. There are a number of ways that evidence can be submitted into one file, and some of these are more efficient than others. Candidates can type directly into the evidence box, or you can add attachments in a similar manner to how you would add them to an email. It's worth noting that any attachment that you add will be stored in a repository that you can access later, which does mean that if you ultimately choose to change the piece of evidence associated with an assessment, you can do that quite easily. Other ways that you can import evidence, other than typing into the box or adding them as an attachment, is to import a document directly from Word. And this is the method of evidence submission that we recommend more than any of the others. The reason we recommend this approach to evidence submission is because the direct import of a Word document will simultaneously allow one file to give trainers the ability to annotate directly over the top of evidence in a way that verifiers can see, and also give version control. This makes it really easy for verifiers to see the iterative backwards and forwards process between candidates and their training officers to show how knowledge and understanding has been developed. For this example, I'm going to import a Word document. Choose the file and then click Import Word Document. You'll see that the document has retained all of the editing and formatting that it had previously in Word. Once it's been uploaded into one file, the candidate can make further edits to it to change it. Once the candidate is happy with the evidence submission and any attachments that are added on top, the candidate needs to provide a justification for the piece of evidence they're submitting. Historically, this has been accomplished in a number of ways. In one file, we're recommending that the candidates put their justification in this feedback and comment section. That way, the evidence and the justification are related and stored in the same section of one file, whilst simultaneously being held separately, so that if the evidence gets updated, the justification doesn't need to change. When the candidate's happy with their submission, they need to scroll to the bottom of the screen. They are signing here to say that the work is their own and they are happy for their trainer to mark it. At this point, if a candidate has a number of trainers associated with their portfolio, the trainer that's going to receive this work to mark can be changed by clicking the Change Trainer button and then choosing the trainer from the drop-down list and clicking Use this trainer. Once the candidate is happy with the submission, the tick is in the box, the correct trainer has been chosen, the candidate should save and quit. That assessment has now disappeared from the candidate's task list. This is being reflected to the candidate by showing the reference number for the assessment, complete with its title, and telling the candidate that the next action is required by the trainer. You'll get a notification that work needs to be submitted as part of the email alerts that you set up at the start of your training. Log into the candidate dashboard and click into your task list. The task list shows tasks in the order that they are assigned to you, and so resubmitted work will be towards the bottom of the task list. It will show you which section, module and evidence type requires resubmission. Clicking into the task, you can see that you're presented with the same task overview. Scrolling further down the screen, the SOPs are listed, and then the evidence box has changed a little bit since my first submission. On the left is the working copy of the document. This is the version that I'm going to update in line with the feedback that I've been provided by my training officer. The version that my training officer has marked is shown here on the right of the screen, complete with their annotations, which I can click to read the text. If there's been 2 or 3 resubmissions, I can iterate through those different versions by using these arrows here on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a really good way of showing verifiers that there has been a backwards and forwards process of learning and development between the candidate and their training officer. As you're working on resubmissions, you will need to agree a method by which you and your training officer will know where the additional work has taken place. Some people are adding the additional information in line with what was there originally, and other people are just adding it at the bottom. In this example, we're going to add some additional text at the end of this sentence. It's also worth pointing out that this has got inbuilt spell check. Right-click, correct the spelling error. In this instance, to make it clear to my training officer where I've added the extra work, I'm going to just change the colour of that text. Once I've added the additional work, I can see any comments that my trainer has left for me. If I want to provide some additional feedback, that information can be provided here and again stored separately to the evidence. Scrolling to the bottom of the screen, tick to sign, and then save and quit.